What's going on, guys? Professor Immortal here, bringing you a post Hypefestation Winter Brawl 9 Clocktower breakdown. So, just going to talk about the basics of Clocktower. We're going to go through sort of the history, talk about some Gears of War fundamentals, review the strategies that myself and Raw Talent had planned and brought together for this past tournament, and also talk about some of the in-game scenarios that we found ourselves in during the event. So a little bit of brief history of Clocktower. This map has been around forever. It used to show a boom shot on the map. This used to actually be a barrier that you would hop over. So the fight has certainly changed when you see a digger down here. I believe early in Hypefestation and Gears of War 3 Life, we used to play the boom, and the strategies are very different. So now you're going to see a lot of the strategies sort of revolve around this area up top. So in the history a little bit, it's typically been a 3-1 as a base strat, right? So you'd have, 3 members of one team up top, represented by the cog here, and we'll play the good guys for most of this demo, and the locust, right, coming out of spawn, and we're going to find ourselves doing a pretty much base strategy of a 3-1, and that's going to be 1 member down low and 3 members up top. And coming back and planning for this event, I really wanted to understand what the base strategy was, and it still happened to be a 3-top, but it played a little bit different. Like in the history of Clocktower, a 3-1 up top was a very heavy Lancer fight, and it was sort of like a 3-person focus, 1 guy sort of thing. It seemed to have changed now. Like the focus is really about this boom shield kill when you do the base strat. And it's about like coordinated smokes, maybe a smoke from host spot, get this guy a quick pop shot, maybe this guy smokes back pillar, and just try to quickly, pick up that kill, right? But, as a base strat, you're playing around online or whatever, it's fine. It's easy and you just do it. But when it comes to tournaments, comes to land play, you want to have an arsenal of strategies that you can take to the table. You want to have, typically for me anyway, I like to go to an event with at least 4 strats per map. Now, the reason for, a little pro tip, like before we actually get into the game, we review the first 4 strats that we're going to do. I like to mix things up. And, the reason for that is we talk about rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4 and what we're going to do for each. That way we're not really wasting airspace in between rounds, depending on how much time. You don't have too much time to talk. So you want to, get those things down. And they want to be pretty different and keep your opponent guessing, right? And when you approach strategies, you kind of always think about what the what if you were playing against the base and what you would do. So, the reason that we're even, I'm even sharing these strategies with everybody is the event's over, the meta's going to change, and it's one thing knowing a strategy, but it's 2 executing it. So, all this knowledge is out there, and you could, if you rewatch broadcasts, you'd see this stuff anyway. So, why not break it down for everybody? So let's just reset and let's talk about some of the different strategies. One of the big strategies that we wanted to come out with was a 4 down low. Wanted to play very aggressive, let the opposition know we were here to play, we were here to fight right away. So we did a 4 down low. We ended up playing Clocktower 3 times, and the first match we had was against Never Give Up, and we ran a 4 down right away. And what a 4 down looks like, what our 4 down looked like was something like this, right? So you get the number advantage. The idea is you want to take advantage of this fight right away. You want to use your numbers. If you're sending 4 low, nobody should die really unless they're matching 4. And you want to take advantage of the quick number fight. So typically, let's say we're fighting against a 3-1 situation, right? Here's the 1 player on the other team. Hopefully that is our kill. So we're going to have 2 guys, push down to nades, going to be coming through there. 1 guy kind of sits back here and gets in pistol lancer fire right away. If they did happen to match or something, you'd get some key shots in. But in this example, we're going to have 1, right? So we're just going to fly. We see that there's 1, and we're going to push across. Now, it's up to this player, depending on what we do. Next, basically, if he goes up top, which is probably the smartest play, regroup with your team, you got to give up bottom at this point, then he's gone. But if he finds himself in spawn, that is the kill. Okay, and you're going to want to push across. You're still going to want to keep a guy around nades. You don't want to give up too much map control. You don't want to trap yourself in their spawn. But you're going to push across, right? And you're going to want to have 1 guy come down through here, get that Lancer so he's stuck. That's going to force him back even further. And you get these 2 chasing. I mean, even if he finds himself all the way back in spawn, that's still the kill. You know, everybody sort of moves up. You got these two focusing. Maybe this player focuses a little, but has to watch just in case these push down. You know, maybe it's something like this, and he still needs to stay here. As they quickly, and I say quickly, they have to take advantage of this number situation as fast as they can. I mean, he's buying time for his team, but you know, you got one guy going wide, one guy focusing with a pistol while he's sitting behind. Eventually, he's going to die. You know, you have a 4v3 situation, and you know, you sort of rotate out. They probably set up back up top or whatever. You know, maybe he holds down here. But either way, you have this situation now. You're able to grab frags, and you're able to move up and take high side. If in that situation, you know, I like the 4 down low because, you know, even if this guy goes up top, what did you really lose? Well, you lost high side, but what you can do is you can quickly, you know, send a guy down to digs, take their side, grab frags, and get ready for a push up top. And taking over high side, you know, a typical setup is going to be something like this. Maybe they're sitting here until frags and diggers get picked up. This is one of the most important things when you're trying to take back high side. It's a coordinated push. It has to be. So, you know, you're going to be able to pick up digger as the team down low, and you have frags. You know, I personally like to bring digger. We effectively did this in one of our matches where you bring digger underneath the nades, and you start tossing digs up. And this is literally, yeah, you get a kill, it's great, but it's really just to move your opponent. The digger is an awesome power weapon because it moves people out of cover. So you're moving people to diggers, you're pushing them out, shooting 1, 2, maybe 3, as your team is getting ready to push up with frags. And typically you want to go right hand and sort of take back the top. You might frag back pillar, you want to take back pillar. You've exhausted your frags, and now, you know, now you're started taking things up. The last player who had digs could either sort of position himself here for a cross or come up, and hopefully you pick one off, and you know, there's the fight. The team with the digger and the frags need to be on the offensive in that situation. So that's just a little breakdown of 4 down low that we ran at Hypefestation Winter Brawl 9. Another strat using number advantage, again, like knowing the current meta, knowing what the 3-1 base. Just wanted to do some very aggressive strats, and a 4 up top was another one that I'm going to showcase here. So let's assume the opposition has 3 high and 1 down low. Just easy to just talk about against a base real quick. In a 4 up, you're kind of going to set up, you know, quickly like this, and what you're going to do is you want to take advantage of this number situation. Again, we recognize that there's 3 here, so let's make a play. You know, back pillar's going to want to smoke over here. These two are going to push aggressively. You're going to keep one host spot trying to lancer across. You know, eventually the focus is going to be here. Now this player down here has the option to either flank or grab frags. Usually he's just going to grab frags and either bring them back to his side and they try to take back top, or he flanks. Whatever the case, you know, hopefully you can try and pick off that 1 kill. This guy's going to end up taking back pillar. Maybe you get a focus down. Maybe you take one out right here. But that's the play. When you push 4 on one side, you need to take advantage of those numbers right away. Now, if there's 2 up top, you know, they're probably going to fall back pretty quickly, and you understand that, you know, then you're just going to trade sides, and they'll maybe retaliate with a push back up later. That's just a quick look at a 4 up. You know, switching things up, keeping things fresh. Another strat on Clocktower is going to be a 2-2. All right, and this was a strat we ran at Winter Brawl. So 2-2, the objective is we're assuming the opponent's playing base. We're going to say that we have a 2v1 situation down low, and we're going to want to try and grab those frags. Okay? So yeah, normally you send a guy back wall, back pillar. The opponent recognizes this. They're gonna smoke. They're gonna push across. You know, they're gonna try and take advantage of this number situation. These 2 guys might have to force the back off, right? But now we have frags, and now we're gonna be able to do something like this, where we can, before your opponent sets up, you want to act quickly as a team. You want to get your frags, you know, sort of in jail and back pillar and take back your side. You know, before this guy gets back and before they actually set up. Another heads up play you can do here is, because, you know, this is sort of bad side, you have left hand trying to take up top. You completely take frags and everybody coordinated push. You call it, let's push across, let's go take right hand. And you guys literally do the same thing on the other side of the map, you know, sort of catch them off guard before they can set up, just sort of wrap around. Now obviously things don't always play out where your opponent's running base, and these strategies won't, you know, always sort of evolve the way that you intend. You have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to, you know, see the situation, call out the numbers and understand what side of the map you should be pushing, where your advantage is. Let's say we ran that 2-2 again, and this was a play that had happened, but instead of sending those two guys back wall and back pillar, you send a guy to host spot, right? So what's the worst that could happen? Well, let's say they do run the base, and you do this. This guy needs to recognize that. He needs to fall back right away. But if you run the 2-2 and he hits that host pillar, and your opponent actually ran like a 4 down, you put yourself in an advantageous situation. So sometimes running the 2-2, it's better just to get a guy to host spot and just be able to look down just in case. I mean, he's not going to end up doing anything back pillar, back wall anyway, except buying some time. And they're not going to be pushing across in this situation. So if you have a guy set up there, these guys are trying to push across. This team recognizes that. There's some crosses coming down. They're trying to make plays here. This player has the decision to make whether he should flank all the way around, which obviously takes some time, but could be advantageous when he gets behind him and starts cross-lancering, or he comes back down and helps focus. There was one play where this was me actually against Sin, and I had rotated back down. We had done this strat. We realized there were 4 down. I got to come back down and help, and we actually had 1 down over here. And without realizing it, I started making a play. I started making a push to pick up that kill, where I was baited and downed. So sometimes you gotta, one of the toughest things in Gears is being able to flip your gameplay, whether it's slow it down, or rush it, especially if you're hot or you're doing well and you just kind of want to get in those shoddy fights, like being able to just team fire and just know when it's an opportunity to team fire. And this is a big section where team fire plays in. Don't get overzealous, don't get overexcited just because you have it down. You may have angles and be surprised. Just by focus lancering here would have been a successful round for us. We're going to reset here. We're going to talk about a meta strategy, and we kind of just got a quick look of it. So I mean, you got your base 3-1, 4 down, 4 up, right? A sort of meta and a 2-2, and a meta strategy we kind of came up with at the event was a 1-3, and we recognized this, and we actually implemented it against a couple teams, 1 successful, 1 unsuccessful. We noticed around round 5 or 6 against Nightmare, they were heavy down, and we wanted to counter that, straight up counter it. So what we did was a 1-3, and we, because we recognized that, we said, you know what, they're probably going to push low again. Let's set up a 1-3. Let's get a guy up top to host spot. If the numbers aren't there, he can back up quickly, and let's send 3 low. And that's what we did. So we're ready to fight with these guys, and these 2 are pushing down the car. These guys might be trying to come around, but having this guy up here gave us just incredible angles to focus fire. We were able to do that. These guys were able to secure nades, able to get some nades out here. We were able to focus fire, and that 1-3 meta call turned out to be a victorious round. We deployed this strategy against Sin actually on the first strat, and it didn't work out so well because as we were caught up in the fight, whether it was a missed call out or whatever the case, Sin did a great job of pushing across very aggressively, and as this was focusing at the mid car, player was taken out right there, right? So the 1-3, although is a nice counter to the 4 low, you got to be aware of that team's going to be playing very aggressive and pushing across. So, but it was a meta call, and it did work out for us at one point. So a couple other scenarios that you may find yourself in. During a tournament that you can't really plan for. It really comes down to practicing together and working as a team, and the more chemistry you build up. A common thing is like a 4v3 situation, and what you never want to do when you're at the 3 is really trap yourself in spawn. And there was a time where we ended up having 3 opponents trapped in spawn. They actually ended up being trapped over here, and we set up in a traditional. And I'm saying traditional as I believe this is the best way to sort of set up against a 4v3 when you have 4 on your team, is to set up like this. And you may be like, yeah, we have 4, like let's go take them out. But you got to remember the resources on the map, the weapons that respawn. There's a methodical way to execute this round, and remember you got maybe 3 minutes at this point to finish things off. So what you want to do is have these 2 guys up here hold their lancers. It's so difficult for these 3 to push. Now if you're these 3, you need to get some coordinated smokes out, and you need to try to make a play. Maybe send 3 up top through the stairs. That's really your only hope, because if you wait this out against a team that's willing to wait for new frags and really pinpoint each kill and execute this as flawless as possible, this team should never lose. Absolutely never lose. So when a team backs up to spawn and they set yourselves up, your team needs to, be like, yo, they're trapped in spawn, let's set up, let's do our thing, remind each other, don't get too aggressive, always remind each other, the situation, the numbers. This guy's going to grab dig, he's going to come back up top, he's going to have digger here. This member may have already used frags, right? So now we have digger, we have these two holding up top. You don't even really need sniper. In this situation, a lancer is probably better. You might pick it up to block your opponent. Sometimes you might drop your shotgun for it just because of how abusive the lancer is right now in this situation. You really want to just be team firing and moving these guys. So let's say there's a minute left on the clock until frags. We have them trapped. We have them isolated. If they push out, they're going to get focused down. So we eventually wait for frags. And now we have frags and diggers. And this is where we start to move our opponents and try to finish this round out. So let's say we're shooting some digs this way, we're throwing frags into these windows, and we're trying to push this guy out. This guy comes out. These two players are finally moving down. This guy moved up. This guy moved here. He moved down onto the stairs. Frags are getting tossed. We're shifting guys around. The team fire's happening. These guys are either going to fall back or try and make a desperation push out and likely get taken out or killed. Let's say one died in this situation. And now there's two left. He reset. We've exhausted all of our weapons and resources at this point. And now we're starting to move up. What you can do is just have one player force this guy into a fight that he can't really take. So, he's sitting here with a lancer safe behind this pillar where he can't really push out, And then these three take advantage of that number situation over here where this guy's holding, and then you start to go wide and you just keep lancering and he's forced back. He's maybe forced this way. Which is fine. Then you're going to flood that guy. But let's say he gets forced in here. Boom! Like that's the chess move right there. You definitely want to just get out wide, get the cross, stay wide, and force a victory here. I mean, at this point, there's just no way that these two guys. This is a place that you really never want to get stuck in. I mean, maybe in a 1v2 situation, it's clutchable, but it's if good team, take it slow, execute it correctly. You should never lose that round, guys. Thank you for watching. This was Hypefestation Winter Brawl 9 Clocktower Breakdown using my favorite tool in the game, the whiteboard. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all later.